I'm Emma Chen, 25 years old, and the moment I knew revenge could be served cold was when my sister Valerie walked into my office 8 years after she tried to destroy my future. But let me take you back to where this started. I was 17, sitting in a scholarship interview for Princeton's Merit Scholarship, a $140,000 full ride for a first-generation student. I'd worked 3 jobs through high school to afford SAT prep. I'd spent weekends at the library instead of parties. My essay on reforming rural education had made the selection committee cry. Then my 22-year-old sister Valerie walked into that interview room uninvited. "I need to speak," she announced to the 5-person panel. Our mother sat in the corner, silent. Dr. Patricia Morrison, the scholarship coordinator, looked confused. "Miss Chen, this is your sister Emma's interview time. I'm here to provide context the committee needs to hear." Valerie had dressed in a blazer I'd never seen before, hair professionally styled. She placed a folder on the table. "My sister is academically talented, yes, but she lacks the maturity and focus for a program of this caliber." My throat closed. Emma changes her mind constantly. She wanted to be a doctor last year, a lawyer the year before. I, on the other hand, have already completed 2 years at State University with a 3.9 GPA in education. I'm focused. I'm proven. Dr. Morrison's face hardened. "Miss Chen, your sister applied for this scholarship. You did not. I'm applying now." Valerie slid papers across the table. I brought my transcripts, my recommendation letters, and my proposal for how I'd use this opportunity more effectively. My mother finally spoke. "Valerie has always been more practical." I looked at each committee member. Some looked uncomfortable. Others looked angry, but they were listening. "I deserve this more than you," Valerie said directly to me. I stood up, legs shaking. "I understand." I walked out of that room and called my guidance counselor, Mr. Howard. "Emma, how did it go? My sister just tried to steal my scholarship interview." "Stay there, don't leave. I'm calling Dr. Morrison right now." What I didn't know was that Mr. Howard was a Princeton alumnus on the Scholarship Advisory Board, and he'd been recording everything, Valerie said. The committee deliberated for 3 hours. Valerie was escorted out by security. Dr. Morrison called me back in alone. "Mrs. Chen, your scholarship is secured, but I need you to understand something. Your sister submitted fraudulent documents. The recommendation letters she provided were forged." My stomach dropped. "What happens to her?" "That's a legal matter now. Document forgery for financial gain is a serious crime." I got the scholarship, full $140,000. I also got absolute clarity about who my family really was. My mother didn't speak to me for 6 months. When she finally called, it was to tell me Valerie had been expelled from State University for the forgery incident. Criminal charges were filed, but eventually dropped to a misdemeanor with probation, but the academic consequences were permanent. "You need to fix this," Mom said. "Tell Princeton it was a misunderstanding." "No. She's your sister. She made a mistake. She tried to destroy my future for her convenience. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." I hung up. That was 2015. I went to Princeton and dominated. I completed my undergraduate degree in educational policy in 3 years while working as Dr. Morrison's research assistant. I started my master's at 20, focused on college access and financial aid reform. My thesis was on scholarship fraud and academic integrity violations. I interviewed over 200 students who'd been victims of application sabotage by family members. The research was groundbreaking, published in 3 major education journals. By 23, I had my PhD. At 24, I became Assistant Dean of Admissions at Whitmore University, the youngest person to hold that position in the university's 180-year history. I built my life deliberately. I married James, an economics professor who respected my work and my boundaries. I sent my mother graduation announcements. She never responded. I sent a wedding invitation, returned unopened. I didn't reach out again. By 30, I was promoted to Dean of Admissions, overseeing a $340 million financial aid budget. I created protection protocols for students experiencing family interference. Valerie's name never crossed my mind until last month. My assistant Jennifer burst into my office. "Dean Chen, there's a walk-in applicant for the adjunct teaching position." She says her name is Valerie Chen. 8 years of silence. Send her in. I closed my laptop and pulled a specific file from my locked drawer, one I'd kept for nearly a decade just in case. Then I folded my hands and waited. The woman who walked into my office looked nothing like the confident, cruel person who'd sabotaged me in 2015. Valerie's blazer was worn at the elbows, shoes scuffed, hair in a messy ponytail. Her eyes widened when she saw my nameplate, Dean Emma Chen, Admissions. Emma, her voice cracked. I didn't know you worked here. Sit down, Valerie. She placed a folder on my desk, hands shaking. I'm applying for the adjunct position. I have my resume, my references. Why Whitmore? I've been working as a substitute teacher for 6 years. I can't get a full-time position anywhere without a graduate degree or college-level teaching experience. I'm 33 years old, making $28,000 a year. And you thought applying here was a good idea? I didn't know you were the dean. I've applied to 47 colleges in 3 states. Whitmore was just another application. She leaned forward. Emma, I need this. I'm barely surviving. This position would change everything. I opened her resume, sparse. Community college courses, substitute teaching, a gap from 2015 to 2017 labeled personal leave. What happened during this gap? Her face flushed. Legal issues. From the Princeton situation, the forgery conviction. It was reduced to a misdemeanor. It shouldn't disqualify me. It doesn't. I closed her folder. Your criminal record isn't why you won't get this job, Valerie. Hope flickered in her eyes. Then I have a chance? I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a file labeled Princeton Scholarship 2015 Personal Archive. Valerie's face went white. This is documentation of what you did 8 years ago. Dr. Morrison's incident report, security footage, the forged letters, the police report, the University Integrity Board's findings. I slid documents across the desk. I also have this, my published research on scholarship fraud and family sabotage. Pages 73 through 89 detail a case study. Subject is anonymous, but every fact is accurate. You wrote about me? I wrote about a pattern of behavior. Your story isn't unique, Valerie. 17% of first-generation scholarship recipients report family interference. I was young. I was stupid. I was jealous. Her voice broke. I've spent 8 years paying for one mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Mistakes are accidental. You planned this. You rehearsed with Mom. You forged legal documents. Don't you think I've suffered enough? I lost everything, and I built a life. I went to Princeton. I earned 3 degrees. I became the youngest dean in this university's history. Your sabotage didn't break me. It clarified who deserved a place in my life. My office door opened. Jennifer stood there with a security guard and another woman in a sharp suit. Dean Chen, this is Maria Rodriguez from HR Compliance. Valerie looked confused and panicked. What's happening? Maria sat down, opening her folder. Mrs. Chen, your application has been flagged. Our policy requires disclosure of any academic integrity violations or criminal convictions related to fraud. Your application listed neither your expulsion nor your 2015 misdemeanor conviction. Valerie's face went from white to green. I didn't think I had to include it was 8 years ago. The application explicitly asks, have you ever been expelled for academic dishonesty? You checked no. That's perjury on a legal document. I recused myself from reviewing your application, I added quietly. Maria and our legal team handled this independently. I'm here as a witness only. That was a lie. I'd orchestrated this, but Valerie didn't know that. This is revenge, she whispered. You're punishing me. I'm protecting my university from someone who commits fraud. Maria stood. Miss Chen's application is rejected. Her name will be flagged. We're also obligated to report this to the State Education Board as she holds a teaching certificate. Valerie stood abruptly, knocking her chair backward. You can't do this. I need that teaching certificate. It's the only thing I have left. The security guard stepped forward. You did this to yourself, I said. 8 years ago you chose to cheat. Today you chose to lie on an official application. I'm your sister. You stopped being my sister the day you tried to steal my future. Maria's voice was firm. Mrs. Chen, you need to leave the premises immediately. Valerie looked at me one last time, face streaked with mascara, body trembling. I've lost everything. Doesn't that matter to you at all? I met her eyes. You taught me exactly how much I was worth to you. I just raised my price. Security escorted her out. That evening, I went home to James. How did it go? He asked gently. Exactly as predicted. She lied on her application. She's blacklisted. Her teaching certificate is under investigation. How do you feel? Empty, not satisfied, not guilty, just empty. My phone buzzed. My mother. I hadn't heard from her in 8 years. Valerie told me what you did. How dare you ruin her life again? You're vindictive and heartless. I typed back, you didn't raise me. Princeton did. Dr. Morrison did. People who believed I deserved opportunities I earned. I blocked her number. Then I blocked Valerie's. 3 days later, the State Education Board opened a formal investigation into Valerie's teaching certificate. Her certificate was suspended. She lost her substitute teaching positions immediately. 1 week later, I received a certified letter. Valerie was suing me for intentional interference with employment prospects. Whitmore's general counsel laughed and filed a motion to dismiss. The suit was dismissed within 30 days. Valerie was ordered to pay Whitmore's legal fees, $8,400 she didn't have. But the lawsuit triggered publicity. Journalists investigated. Within 2 months, major news outlets covered the story of scholarship fraud and family sabotage. My research was featured on NPR. I was invited to testify before a congressional subcommittee on education reform. The attention led to a $2.3 million grant to create a national reporting database for scholarship interference. Whitmore hosted the program. I named it the Morrison Initiative. In the first year, we helped 847 students protect their scholarship applications from family interference. Last week, I received a handwritten letter from Valerie. Emma, I know you won't read this, but I need to write it anyway. I've spent 8 years making excuses. The truth is simpler and worse. I was jealous. You were 17 and already smarter and harder working than I'd ever been. I couldn't stand it. So I tried to destroy you. I don't expect forgiveness. I just needed you to know that I finally understand. You didn't ruin my life. I did. I'm working at a grocery store now, night shift stocking shelves. It's honest work. It's all I'm qualified for. I'm sorry. For all of it. I read it twice. Then I filed it in the same drawer where I kept all the documentation from 2015. I didn't respond. I didn't owe her closure, forgiveness, or redemption. This semester, we had a record 200 scholarship applications. We prevented 17 documented sabotage attempts. Every single one of those students got their scholarships. Last month, my student advisory board presented me with a plaque. To Dean Chen, who turned her pain into our protection, thank you for believing us. I put it on my office wall, right next to my Princeton diplomas. Every time Valerie's name crosses my mind, I look at that plaque, my degrees, and the stack of thank you letters from students whose lives I've helped save. And I remember, you don't owe loyalty to people who actively harm you, even if they're family. You owe yourself protection. You owe yourself peace. You owe yourself the chance to build a life with people who celebrate your success instead of sabotaging it. Valerie taught me that lesson 8 years ago. She reinforced it 8 months ago. You can't steal your way into a life worth living. You have to earn it, and I did.